Here, let's see. Okay, awesome. You guys can hear me. Okay. Um, we're just gonna start out really quick. I'm gonna recap what I saw today. Our open was this candle here, and really the only trade that I saw today that I don't want to say the only one that I saw that's worth taking, but um, the best setup was the retest of our single prints at the top. Um, you should have got in on this candle here, the first candle. For people that don't have this level, it's a retest of this level from April 14th. Okay. As soon as I finish this video, I'll be erasing the single prints off of my chart, as now this is going to be a poor high, right, on TPO. If we go to actually before I go to a lower time frame, you guys don't have to answer me, but just kind of think about where you'd be looking to exit trades if you took short here. And I'm sure some people would be saying POC, which would be great. It's 32 points, more than enough for a trade. This is like a great setup if you're doing one trade a day. If you're looking for a little bit more, my eyes kind of immediately go to the poor low that we have right here. And hopefully you guys recognize this as well. And for me, more likely than not, we're going lower than that. So I kind of just target that same level. There are, other areas you could have been watching for lower, but realistically, you catch something like this, 64 points on ES, you're having a very good day, right? With that said, I didn't really trade, or I shouldn't say I didn't really trade. I didn't trade this morning because I had appointments and just stuff going on all day long. I did take some trades this afternoon. I took a trade this evening, which I'll show you guys really quickly, and then we'll just start reviewing other people's trades. We're not going to be doing anything as far as education tonight. I mean, other than reviewing trades. Before Romy texts me and says he has to run. Sorry, I'm taking a little jab at you. I guess we need to get together sometime and figure out where you're at, how you're feeling, and when I say this, I'm not trying to pressure you or rush you, but when you think you're going to be able to start trading, because we've got to get you going. Whatever it is that we need to do to make that happen, we need to make happen, right? So anyway, earlier this evening, I sat down at my computer and I basically noticed, and this isn't going to be a major high win rate kind of trade, but it's also not terrible. But we were in a downtrend, right? Making lower lows, lower highs, so on and so forth, right? And when I start to see stuff like this, I mean, for one, I don't get too excited, but when I sat down, I think we were somewhere right around here, right? After they came down to here and started kind of bear flagging, I was like, oh, let me draw fibs and just kind of see what I can see. And so, if I take from the lower high to the lower low and draw my fibs, we're looking at the golden pocket, which is the 618 fib to the 682 fib. And our trade would be invalidated if we cross over the 50% fib, right? And with a trade like this, then our first profit target is going to be the 272 fib down here. And so on this trade, I got in on this candle here, oops, sorry, this candle here, basically like right at the top of the golden pocket. So I was risking very minimal. This is a small trade, you know, like I'm risking 2.75 points to make 9.75, and it's like a 3.5 to 1 risk to reward. And just so that I'm like really clear with you guys, this isn't a trade I would recommend taking if you're just doing one trade a day. I mean, it's not terrible. It's 9 points, but you probably want to catch like a bigger move. But for like after you've completed 6 months of doing one trade a day, at that point you have liberty to start scalping and looking for smaller setups or whatever. To me, I don't remember exactly, but I want to say I was already up like $600 on the day or something to that effect. I took a very small position, risking very minimal. Hit my price target, my profit target, I should say. Sorry. Got out of the trade. And when you're doing flags like this, so I'll just say like Shorty had a better exit than me. He was targeting 5,385. I'm guessing he saw that we have a strong low here, right? And that you want to get out of the trade before you get to that level. As far as the bear flag is concerned, this is like your first profit target, right? Oops, what happened here? This would be your second profit target, and then this would be your third. I don't even know that Shorty bothered to draw the flag or, you know, like recognize that this was the golden pocket. He's pretty good at like eyeballing that stuff without drawing fibs and whatever else. I can kind of do it too, but I like to use the fibs just as like a confluence. And I'm sure, again, based off of this strong low, that's probably why he was closing at 385. So I took a lot less of this than he did. He got a much bigger move. And the move he got is more of what you'd want to look for, you know, if you're taking one trade a day, like 18 points. I mean, technically, you could probably use the same stop loss because once we cross that that 0.5 or 50% fib, it invalidates the bear flag. And so you're really, you know, like you're at 6.5 to 1 risk to reward on this trade. If you were looking at the same thing Shorty was, if I was trying to get, you know, significantly lower based on this information, personally, I probably would have closed here, 385.75, so like 75 or 3 ticks above him. But again, that's, you know, we're just kind of splitting hairs. But I'm just trying to, when I talk with you guys, when I go over things, I'm just trying to be as revealed as possible about how I trade. And so, you know, I don't mind showing like what Shorty was looking at. I didn't even realize Shorty basically took the same setup as me until I had actually closed my trade. And then I had seen that he posted in the Discord chat, you know, whatever, short, blah, 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 targeting this. And it wouldn't have changed what I was doing because I really kind of stick to focusing on trading my own plan. But interesting to kind of see that we took the same trades. He caught way more of it than I did. But I'm perfectly happy with my trade. As you know, like I said, before I even took the trade, I was already up 600, and that was just adding a little bit more to the stack. And even if I took an L, I think I was risking like $35 or $45 or something to that effect. So it really wouldn't have been a big deal. So Bloop, I think I already kind of explained it, but no, it wasn't an SR flip. It was because once the 0.5 fib or the 50% fib is broken, it invalidates my trade. But I was giving a little bit of room just in case they did a stop hunt, you know, and wicked it up really quick. I didn't want to get stopped out right at the 50% fib. Okay. So Anyway, really quick. That's a quick little trade I took today or this evening. Really small. I feel like this was the setup for the day. And I kind of wanted to dissect this more. If you were, like if you took the entry right here when we tapped the single prints, or even if you took it here, I feel like stuff like this is always kind of good to show. If we draw our short position, right? And let's just say we got in here. Let me erase these little circles. Okay, that's not what I wanted to erase. But let's say we got in on that candle. I don't know if that's picking up that I'm entering. We'll just say this, right? Stop loss. I don't know if this is too high, but I'll kind of have to look back to the right and assess. So if we're targeting the POC, yeah, actually this isn't terrible. You're risking like 13 points to make 31. Almost 2.4 to 1. This might be better here. It's kind of hard when you're like this far to the left. Because you can't really eyeball where you are. Let me see. Damn, like how far forward did I go? Yeah, so I'm more comfortable with this. And again, I'm not looking at where we where we potentially might have got stopped out based on the information that we have. I'm looking at my risk to reward, what I'm comfortable risking versus my profit. I wasn't terribly uncomfortable at the 2.4 to 1 risk to reward, but I'm a lot happier with the 3 to 1. And I feel like, risking just over 10 points to make 31 is a decent setup that I would feel comfortable taking. But what I really wanted to show is like, again, the next part's going to depend on your entry, but if we were, if we had got in here, actually, I guess what I was looking at is completely untrue. It's irrelevant, I guess. We opened, tapped. Like, you would have been out of the trade on this one candle, or am I lost? This is a wild candle. So we opened here, came up and tapped this, came down, wick down, and then back up. I think that's what happened. I need to go, I guess, to a really low time frame to actually see what they did with this candle. Let's try this. Okay, so no. It looks like they opened, hit our take profit first, and then triggered, and then started going. Sorry, I know, like, this is probably, you guys are probably wondering why I'm like splitting hairs right here, but what I wanted to show, I mean, it's stuff that we've already talked about. I don't know that 10-second candles is like the best thing in the world, but yeah, so if we just look at this, if we had taken this entry here for our entry, and we're targeting the previous week POC for our take profit, we literally went from entry to pretty close to our take profit, like very, very green on this trade, right? Came all the way down to here. And then from there, we retraced almost all the way back to break even before we finally went and hit our take profit. So just kind of showing you guys again, like if at any time during this you start trailing your stop loss, like because you're scared or whatever in the trade, you're going to get stopped out. You're never going to reach your profit target. Okay. And so this is super important. You'll probably hear me talk about it a lot. And I talk about it a lot because it's very important that we trust our levels when we take an entry. We, at least for 6 months, we're only hitting stop loss or we're only hitting take profit. And I'll jump off the soapbox for now, but just wanted to go over that with you guys again really quickly. Hopefully everything there makes sense. If you guys have questions, like don't hesitate to ask. With that said, we're just going to review other people's trades. Assuming that we don't have a bunch of questions, today's probably going to be a little bit of a shorter video, which works great for me. I've been up since like 6 o'clock in the morning and I've been going nonstop, just doing everything under the sun, from like education to, I don't know, just appointments, education, YouTube videos, like you name it, I haven't stopped. So shorter video works great for me. Let's take a look at Alan's trade first. He's saying that he got into the trade late. Everything looks good to me from a glance, but let's see. Single print mid, previous week, value area high. Yeah, awesome. This is $5,492. Okay, so you're here. I think the only issue I'm going to have with your trade is your stop loss. I don't remember the exact level. Let me bring it back. I'm going to bring it down here so I can see it. But so it looks like your entry 5,492.25. Actually, let's do it this way. So I get the entry. I'm good with your entry. It looks like your stop loss is 5,497.50. And your profit target 5,474.75. Or no, it's 5,475.50. And I'm guessing when this trade was planned, like we didn't have these wicks, right? So immediately, without looking left, imagining none of this had happened, right? Um, and I understand. So like here is our single print mid, right? Which is a great place to get into a trade. The issue I have, just without even looking left for a stop loss, is that your stop loss is literally like a hair above the single prints. When I do this, like, I know we just barely wicked above here, and it's like impossible for me to not, to like unknow what I know. I wish I could, because it just makes it feel fake. But I show you guys this like pretty much every day when we do these videos. You need more space in case they do a stop loss hunt, right? Like I might feel comfortable here without looking left, just knowing like if I'm trying to get in, if I don't know exactly where the single print bottom is, it doesn't matter. We'll just say it's here. And I'm trying to target the single print mid for my entry. Your entry is great, right? The only issue I have is there's a chance that they're going to come up and hit the top of the single prints, right? And so if your stop loss is like right here, you're giving yourself almost no breathing room. If the entry actually does end up being here, and they do like a tiny bit of a stop hunt, you're out of the trade. So like with that just alone, like I don't feel comfortable with my stop loss till about at least here. I want to look left and figure out like where I'm actually really comfortable based on looking at candles. But just with my single print top being here, knowing I need at least a little bit of breathing room in case they do come up to there, I'm immediately not okay with your stop loss, right? Hopefully that's making sense. And then as I look left, I guess I feel like we already, covered this when I was going over the trade I was looking at earlier. But like looking at candlesticks, like I would feel more comfortable here for my stop loss or here. And I think to do either one of those, you would have to be targeting a bigger move, right? Let me turn off the replay. So it looks like I would have got stopped out at whatever price this is. 54.99.75. Yeah, so literally they would have top ticked me on the stop loss. Based on where I said the minimum I would feel comfortable with a stop loss without looking left. But with looking left, like I want to be at least here. And now with your take profit, I can't take this trade. Right?
Is that a scarf? Is that a scarf? Get her! Get her! Get out. Get out. Get out. I said, get out.
It's a little bit hard to determine exactly where this would be. Let me see if I can figure it out. You have visible range volume profile drawn. And like based on that, I'm just wondering, so like this is kind of like the far side of a high volume node. If we bring the take profit down to there, does this trade become something that you could have taken? And it does. We're at 2 to 1.1 risk to reward. And maybe it looks like you were targeting the POC, which is understandable. I would target the far side of the high volume node as a minimum. But like I talked about on this trade, when I was kind of covering it, I would have been targeting the previous week value or the previous week POC. So obviously I'm getting less than if I had taken the single print top, but still basically 3 to 1. Good trade, right? So hopefully, Alan, like that helps you a little bit. Your stop loss was just way too tight. And I think your take profit, I understand. Like, I get that you're targeting the POC, which isn't necessarily bad. But again, I think I target the far side, which if you had just done that and you could have got your 2 to 1. And then, like I said, I just like this better, the previous week POC. And if you just take like 1 MES or 2 MES, you're really not risking very much for decent reward. Okay. Let me erase some of this really quick. Next, we'll look at Danny's trade. Sorry, I just got a DM. Thank you, Money Matters. I don't know if you're on right now. Yeah, he's not in here. All right, so let's look at Danny's trade really quick. I haven't really looked at this in depth, but I think I absolutely love this trade. So we're risking $7.75 to make $32 with a risk to reward ratio of 4.13. Super clean trade. And like I knew right away we're looking at MES, and then I asked Danny how many contracts she took, and she took 3. This is textbook, right? I like your take profit level. Oh, and it's also the previous week value high. I was looking at where this candle tapped, but okay, previous week value high, even better reason to close there. Previous week POC, so you played the full range from the POC to the previous week value high. You waited for the retest. You were barely red on the trade, which is awesome. So we're looking at basically the inverse of what we were looking at. It looks like you're at 5.456.50. So this was your entry. Mm. Okay, so it was this candle right here that you got in on. And your exit was 5488.50. And your stop loss 5448.75. Um, there's only one thing I don't like about this, and I kind of knew this before I started reviewing it. Um, Basically, just kind of the same thing with Alan, where I feel like if they're stopping us out, probably minimum they're coming to the bodies of these candles here. And I would want at least a little bit of breathing room below that. Um, Something like this. Obviously, your risk to reward's not as nice as your setup. And your setup worked. Um, but again, um, probably at a minimum, I would want my stop loss like right here, which gives us like 3.5 to 1 risk to reward. That would be like the only um, I can't think of the word, but the only thing that I see that, or criticism, that's the word I'm looking for. But let's go based on what you actually did. So I'm going to put you on blast a little bit here too, Danny. I remember exactly where Danny was when I met her. Would DM me a lot, ask a lot of questions. Um, and like this fills my heart with joy. Like, and for anybody that really knows me, like, it's sincere. Like, I wouldn't just say that to make somebody feel good. Um, this, and again, it's not, special to Danny, but I really know exactly where she was when I met her. And seeing this is such a huge step forward for her. And I'm super proud of her, and she should be super proud of herself. This is an absolutely beautiful setup, and you're risking, so one contract, you're risking $37.50, if my math is right. And so based on that, 3 contracts, you're risking $112.50. And with your $112 risk, you're looking at 32.50, or no, $32 on the button. $160. Wait, my math is wrong? Oh, because that's one contract. Um, so you made $480 and risked 112. Just absolutely freaking amazing. The only thing that I can say is just try to be a little bit more cognizant with the stop loss. In this, in this moment, it worked out great, awesome. We've just got to be aware, of where they might come if they're trying to stop us out. So again, I might have just been at least a little bit lower, but really, really just huge leaps and bound forward from when I met you. And I can tell that you're obviously studying and putting in the work, and awesome that you waited for a nice setup and took the trade. Really, really good. There's really just nothing else to add to that. Anytime you can risk, $100 to make 480, do it without even batting an eye, right? Next. And then, just in case anybody noticed this, like, her previous week POC is different than mine. And I think it's just a matter of I'm charting ES1 and she's charting MES. So it's probably not anything that she did wrong. I'm not going to go and double check. But if anybody did happen to see that and they're like, oh, wait, that's not the previous week POC, unless you chart MES, you're not going to know. I'm looking off of ES. I'm not questioning it because very good chance that those levels are different based on that information. Okay. Next, and DZ Jones, I'll get to you in a second. I'm literally just going up the list in the order that people are posting. Next, we'll look at Ruth. I guess really quickly while I'm doing this, if you have a chance tomorrow, Romy, just message me and kind of just let me know where you are. Let me know if there's anything that you need help with as far as getting started, to get started on trading. Okay. We're shorting previous week value area high, targeting the previous week POC. Stop loss is decent. Let me see. So now I'm a little bit confused. Did I not bring my previous week value high forward? Is this like 2 weeks ago? No? This is... It's correct. No worries. We'll go off of the levels that you gave me. 5/4/1975. So this is our entry. I think it's right here. This is... Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this is where you took it. Your stop loss. If you guys can in the future, when you take screenshots, have this highlighted so I can see like the actual numbers. It just makes it a little bit easier. I'm struggling to see where I think your stop loss is at 5/4/33/25. But it would just be easier, if I can see it at a glance. And we were targeting 53.90. Okay. And so stop loss 540, 54, 33 and a quarter. Okay. 2.2 to 1. We're risking 13 and a half points to make, we'll say 30. The only thing I would say is I'd probably just tighten this up a little bit. Actually, no, I take that back. I wouldn't. You're kind of like between a rock and a hard place. So I guess initially, like, you want your stop loss above this, right? In case they stop loss hunt us and come to there, and then reverse and go back down. But then this is kind of sketchy, right? Because there's a chance that they go dink and then go, right? But if we do this, like, we're not going to be able to take the trade, right? So with that said, your stop loss is fine. Being that, like, hopefully you guys understand what I'm looking at. Like, I've identified two different levels where I would like to have my stop loss. Ideally, like, if I could put it above here, that would be great and ideal. But if I can't, I'm not going to not take the trade because I can't have what I think might be like an absolutely ideal stop loss. This is still, like, there's a pretty good chance that if they do a stop hunt, that they're going to kind of come to here and then reject and go down, right? So I like all of it. Your take profit, it's really just it's good. Same thing with Ruth. I know, like, I have a good idea of where you started. I have a good idea of the struggles that you've gone through. I have a good idea of the struggles that you're still going through. And when I say that, like, obviously we're improving, we're getting better. And I'm super proud of you. This is clean. This is good. Based on your levels, you were targeting the previous week POC, which just kind of happens to line up with, like, our poor low here, right? Which, when I talk about, this is our poor low. And so when we come to here, like, the reason this is actually a perfect example, if I hit this, this is kind of a perfect example of why I say I close at the poor low and not, like, lower. Because a lot of times on a poor low, they'll just peak below it a little bit and then they'll go back and, do whatever they're going to do, go higher. But they go just low enough to clean it up like they did here. And then they reverse on you and go the other way. And so I love your exit. I mean, it's even better that it just happens to be lining up as the previous week POC. But if that wasn't the reason that you were exiting there and you were noticing that you have, like, a poor low here and they're probably going to just barely peak below it and then bounce and start, reversing in the other direction, this is a great place to close your trade. And I'll say this for both Danny and for you, finding, like, a 30-point setup on ES is a big accomplishment, right? And then when you're sitting through this trade, for anybody that actually trades, you were sitting in this trade for a good 3 hours, right? The swings weren't terrible, but, you did have some moments, like here, for example. And I'm trying to, like, kind of highlight this, not just for you, but for everybody. Like, you had almost a 10-point swing up here, right? When that happens, that gets kind of scary, right? And sitting through stuff like that when you're in a trade is not easy. And if you did it, like, this is great. Here you had a over 7.5-point swing to the upside. And you had to sit through this trade for 3 hours and grind it out. Perfect. I mean, really, like, I don't have any criticism. Other than ideally, like, you would love your stop loss to be above here, but that's just not possible. And maintaining, like, a good risk to reward. And so I can't even say that that's criticism. Like, I like where your stop loss is, and I'm assuming you kind of did exactly what I did, which is you looked here and said, "Hey, let me put my stop loss a little bit above this, right, in case they try to wick above it and stop me out." Really, really good job. Be proud of yourself. I'm proud of you. This is perfect. This is exactly what I want to see. This is what I want to see from everybody, you know? And just to be clear, for any of you, getting like anything from 20 to 30 points on ES is really means that you're learning this stuff. It really means that you're picking it up. It really means that things are clicking, because you don't accidentally catch 30 points on ES. Like, it requires skill. It requires recognizing levels. It requires knowing what you're doing, right? And then your next setup, this is the one where the levels are off. So let me look at what you typed out to me. And basically, we're almost done, everybody. Unless anybody has questions, we'll cover those. But I know, the times on these sessions are not ideal. It's late. It's probably hard for everybody. It's hard for me. But so you had said that your entry was the previous day POC. Exit was 5501. Okay. So the the IBH. And your stop loss was 5475. I'll figure out where that is in a second, but I'm just trying to like show people. I guess Ruth was saying this got shifted when she before she took the screenshot. So let's draw the levels. So 468.75. And then targeting 5501. Is this today? I'm a little bit confused because, excuse me, the initial balance. Like, you're targeting the top of the initial balance, right? Or did you not know that that was there? Do you happen to know, Ruth, like what you were targeting? Um, and then our stop loss was at 54.75. 54.75.
What is your teammate?
I don't know. Oh, You have a spike at 524.75. Okay. I guess I deleted mine. Makes sense though. This roughly entire thing is a spike. Um,
I swear all the people on that are actually.
I guess what I'm struggling to figure out is where you were
No, I'm saying like all everyone I think is like
getting your take profit level from.
it's like a crash.
Maybe this as an SR flip, which would make sense. So if it's the SR flip here, I would understand. And it would just be unfortunate, basically. Um,
Get out of here. I'm tired, tired, tired. Goodbye. Hey. No, my bed.
so I'm kind of assuming that you were getting in on this candle here, or that was your plan. Was you planned this trade out before? Um,
What did I do?
I'm gonna turn off the initial balance because it's just kind of like in my way.
You're not doing that for me. Alright.
Um,
Let's figure out how to get
let me see if you're typing anything. Okay.
I sent you a friend. Um, once you die, go back. I don't even know where you check your friend list. Like, there's no friend list. You have to, send them.
I think so. Like, I feel like I need to do this to kind of get rid of some of the noise. Okay. Now I feel like I can like actually like look at this and breathe. Um, so having done that, like I immediately see things I don't like. Um, and I'll explain. This candle here, I don't love. Oh, I made that too big. So I mean, you could kind of make an argument both ways, but um, this, sorry, this candle here, with when you see this happen. So hopefully, what I'm about to say makes a ton of sense, Ruth. When you see this happen, like, does it look like we're accepting value up here? And then I know, immediately you're probably like, no, it does not, right? If we're just looking at this candle, it doesn't look like we're accepting value up here. Right after this happened, we did have a clean break of the level. We had three, one, two, three candles, so three 5 minute candles that closed above. I'm not going to split hairs on this part, but I am noticing that we're like just barely holding it. Like it's pretty close. Without this candle, I would be like, oh, it's fine, whatever. We're accepting price above this level. Um, but so this right here, I don't love about it. right? We had already gone up, tapped the previous week value area high, and then lost it. And you're going off of previous day POC, previous day value area high is like somewhere right around here. I don't know exactly where. 54.81. Oh, I'm right on it perfectly. Okay. Um, to me, this is it's just like it's a miss, and this candle just kind of like scares me away from the trade, and I really hope that makes sense. And then the fact that we have like the previous day Valeria low, I mean the previous day Valeria high, um, right here. Like, what's giving me the confidence, that we're gonna go through this and come up and tap 5501, right? Um, and I understand you didn't take the trade. Um, I just see a lot of reasons to not be in this trade. And like the first one is that candle. The second one is, as a general rule of thumb, when I'm at value area high, I want to be thinking short and not long, right? I know we went like, significantly higher before they rejected back down, but you want to be thinking like net short at value area highs, right? Um, if you remove this and we don't have the previous day um, POC there, or the previous day, sorry, previous day value area high, then I start asking like, why are we not just targeting previous week value area high? I see you don't. Yours is a different level than mine, which is weird. I don't understand. Did you not chart your previous week? I want to make sure I'm not wrong. Um, yeah, no, previous week right here. Um, if your guys' previous week value area high is not 54.91, then you might be charting with regular trading hours turned off. You might not have live data. Um, I think those would be the two main reasons. But for me, um, yeah, it should be there. So you don't have your previous week charted here. It should be there. 5495.25. Value volume 68, row size 100. This is your high. Unless you're charting like, yeah, so I'll take that. You're like, we're a point apart. It's good enough. Um, but so just for me, um, with the previous week value high here, I wouldn't be expecting, like that would be my target if I was looking for a trade here. Um, and I get you don't have this level on your chart, but even without that, you have the previous day. What is it? previous day value area high, like right around here somewhere, um, then that becomes my target. You know, hopefully it makes sense. Like there's just a lot of stuff that's saying don't take this trade, at least that I see. And then I get also like news, you know, sent it flying in the opposite direction. Um, but I just, without any of that, I see a lot of reasons to not take that trade. Okay. Let's look at DZ Jones. And then this is going to be the last one, unless anybody has any questions. And hopefully you guys see the value in doing this, like reviewing the trades, figuring out what could be done differently, what was done correctly. So immediately not loving your stop loss. Um, what is this 541.20 level? Let's see. Okay, so you're on 5 minutes. We're on SPY. You shorted the 2024 POC, which I don't think, did we hit that today? No. Here? Um, sorry, what was 540? 544? Am I losing my mind? Oh, June POC. I'm looking for the 2024 because you have June 24 POC. I'm looking for a 2024 POC. Okay, I don't even have June on here, but that's not a big deal. 544.31. This is today. Okay. Won't let me get the exact level. Immediately there's stuff I don't like, and when I say that, I'm not hating on you. Um, this is Wednesday. So, oh, is this really the June POC? Let me, sorry, bear with me, everybody, for a second. Yeah, no. Okay. Oh, wait. Where? Oh, okay. It is. You've just basically identified a level. Um, Okay. We're gonna break this down. Um, it's just kind of it's amusing, and I guess when I'm saying this, I don't want to come across like I'm making fun of you. It's amusing how you found the level based on the fact that there's much more recent information almost at exactly that same level that has way more weight than a POC back in June that's been like gone through like multiple times. Um, and again, when I'm saying all of this, I'm not like trying to, you know, take a shot at you or anything. It's actually like it's a good level to be in short. Um, okay, so your level is right here. And if you watch me charting Spy Live, right? And if we're going off of the information that I'm teaching, so like if we hit replay and go to here, we go to a 30-minute chart and we turn on our TPO, which you might not have access to, which is fine. But even without access to TPO, we should recognize this as a strong high, right? Or single prints, whichever one you want to choose. If we're going off of TPO, this is single prints. If you're going off of, excuse me, if you're going off of just looking at the candlestick, this is a strong high. And so looking at TPO really quick, you'll see here this is a single print. This is up here, a period block all by itself. There's no other blocks up here. So this is a single print, right? Um, and then I feel like I can show you some interesting information off of this level because I shared this today, or I shared it yesterday on my YouTube when I was charting Spy Live. But if we just go like this. So before I do this, let's see. What I'm watching for tomorrow on Spy, right? Let me pop this out so I can move my Discord back over here. That way I can see messages. Um, but so, oh, I have it marked as a poor high. 545.42. Okay. Why is that a poor high? Oh, maybe more recently. Oh, wait, no, this is today. Sorry. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. I apologize. That's what I just posted today for tomorrow. Um, I'll have the screenshot in a second. Okay. So this is live from my YouTube. I sent this from my phone. So 544.28. This is our single prints level. And I was saying possible puts in this zone. And if we hit 546.35, like we should get a rejection there. Worst case scenario. But if not, we're kind of targeting this range. And again, single prints right at 544.28, right? So basically, right around the same place that you have your June POC, we're 7 cents apart. And then based on what you're showing, we go to 5 minutes. I guess this is the only thing that's confusing because you're saying that you took your entry here, I think, based on the circle on your chart. Is that right? Right there? Okay. Um, so I'm trying to figure out the best way to like say this. If you were taking the, sorry, let me do this. The retest of the July POC short here, I would understand. And you like got in late for whatever reason. But if your target was to be in at the July POC, I would understand that. But breaking above like this and then coming back below the June POC is not like a place where you would slap puts. Okay. Um, yeah, and I can see like it's an SR flip, and based on that, like um, I don't know, we're just wicking through it too many times, right? And again, none of this is like to. I think you targeted 541, or I think you said 540. I'm good with that. So I like your exit. You're a little bit above the July value area low, which you probably could have targeted if this is the range that you're targeting. It wouldn't have been bad to close here, and I'm sure you can see why. But if we're targeting lower, I think July value area low is your target. The only thing that makes that a little bit sketchy is we have a strong low right here. And then we talk about, kind of closing before that. So like if you're basically taking the wick of this candle as your place to close, which is what it might be, I feel like that's a good place to close your trade, right? But then I get lost on the entry here, just because we're looking for, like everyone else's trades that we covered. And again, I really, I don't know why I keep like feeling this, but I don't want you to feel attacked, right? I don't want you to feel like I'm picking on you or like, I don't know, like trying to put you down or anything like that. And hopefully that's not how you're feeling, but for whatever reason that keeps coming to me. And so I want to just really emphasize that that's not what I'm trying to do. Trying to just dissect this to hopefully help you in the future. Like get a better, cleaner entry, right? And so when I'm teaching, you never hear me say like, look for this, and then when we cross back below, this is where you take your entry, right? So if we did this and we came back below and then had 3 5-minute candles close below and then we hit here and sold off, I'd be like, awesome. That's exactly what we talk about, right? And so that's kind of more of what I'm looking for. You're doing something right because you're very close to where I was looking for shorts, which was right here, right? Or actually, sorry, it was lower. I don't remember where it was, but I need to look back at my I mean, in all fairness, I had a range. Um, Shoot, I closed it. Let me see if I can reopen it again really quick. Okay, there, I got it. So I had a pretty big range, and we didn't really hit my target that I was looking for, which was 546.35. But you went short right in kind of the same range that I was looking at. I don't know if that's based on you having watched my YouTube video, but if it's not, then you did a really good spot of like choosing where to be short. I just don't like your reasoning for being short. Like if you're saying it's the June POC, because the June POC is not generally like an area where you're like, oh, it's going to reject there. Whereas single prints, like when I teach this, when we have, like a strong rejection off of a level, the next time we come to it, we expect the same reaction, right? Whereas POCs, we kind of just like sometimes we might bounce off of it. Next time we'll slice through it, and then we slice through it again, and then maybe we do this, and then you know reject off of it. They're not quite as reliable. It's like POCs are a good place to close trades. It can be a good place to take a trade, just kind of depending on how it reacts when we get there. But in the example that we're looking at, like we kept wicking through. Like if this didn't exist, if we hit this and rejected, hit it and rejected, hit it and rejected, hit it and rejected, and then just this time when you slapped puts, it wicked up through, then I'd be like, no, you're good. Like it was acting as a strong SR flip, for a while, and you just missed the earlier entries and took a later one, and it went against you for a little bit, right? So all of that is like good again if we kept rejecting directly from that POC. But if not, like your single prints, and again the same thing with the single prints, like we kept wicking through it. So it's kind of tough, but say, again, you chose a really good area to be in puts. Like you picked really kind of the top of the range. You got in whatever, like 60 cents below the top, which is good. I don't love your entry in the sense that, again, like so like right here, if you took puts, actually this isn't even good because we just have 2 5-minute candles closing below before we retested it. But it's better than breaking above and then getting back in as we go back through, hopefully this is making sense. And being new, not a big deal. We just got to get you getting in on good entries and not trying to kind of force things, if that makes sense. Anyway, let's just quickly look at like what the actual trade was that you took. It was from here. You were targeting 540, you said. And again, I've already covered, like, I like your exit. It's good. Good area to close. Your stop loss was at 545.52. This is probably the main thing I don't like about your trade is your stop loss right here. I mean, I don't love the entry, but I think this right here is the worst part about your trade is that we're targeting, like we already have this information, right? We know this is the high of the day, and you put your stop loss equal to the high of the day. And what we're teaching, right, is to put it a little bit above at least. Even if you do something like this, you're still at 2.7 to 1 risk to reward. You need a little buffer in case they come up here and try to wick you out and then go to your take profit level. Okay. Hopefully this is clicking. We want to look for cleaner entries. We don't want to target an equal high as a place to close our trades for our stop losses, right? Because again, the most likely thing if this goes red is that they come to here and then go. So the same as looking at a single print and saying, if we come back to there, I want to be in puts. We're expecting a hard rejection from there. And so with that said, if we come back to here, we're expecting a hard rejection, and we don't want to close right where we might get that hard rejection. Okay? Well, DZ, that's awesome. It's awesome that you're recognizing that, and let's fix it, right? Like let's fix that. And it's all good. Like I appreciate you're new to it. We're here to grow and learn and get better. And like just don't target a strong high or a strong low as your place to close a trade or to get stopped out. Also, not to close it. Same thing. Like if I'm taking calls here, I wouldn't want my stop loss to be right at this strong low, because again, very good chance that they're going to do this and then go, right? That I'm going to get a strong reaction if I do come down to that level, and I don't want to close my trade the second it touches it, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully this is helpful. Actually, we've gone over a little bit over an hour, which I was not anticipating today. I thought we were going to be under an hour. But really, all in all, like everybody, good trades. Really appreciate the participation. This is helpful. We need stuff to review every day. And a bloop, I'll answer your question in just a second, but just in case people want to take off since we're approaching midnight, my time at least, Pacific, just going to wrap it here, but I will go and answer your question. Was this, did I draw this? I don't know. I'm going to delete that just in case. Actually, I might have drawn that. I don't know. Yeah, but so everybody really great. Keep sending the trades like for the next time we have a class. Sometime this weekend, I'll get with Romy and figure out what days we're going to get together next week. I know the days are going to be different already because I'm working like random. We could probably do Tuesday, but then I'm working like Thursday, Friday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I think at a minimum, as long as Romy's free, we can do Tuesday and maybe like Saturday evening if he's free. If not, we can just do one day next week. It's not like a huge deal. But other than that, like I'm going to wrap it here. I'm going to look at Bloop's question. It will be recorded. Like if you guys want to take off and go to bed or whatever and want to make sure you catch whatever I reply to him with, it'll be recorded just in case. Okay. But I'm done as far as like the education portion of this, and I'm just going to take a look at Bloop's question and try to answer it. Bloop. So this is not considered like a huge high probability setup. I wouldn't recommend that you're doing it when you're doing your one trade a day for 6 months. But peak above and fail. Whoa. If this happens where you literally, I'm trying to find like a good example. I guess this here, like at our July POC, where right here we peeked through it really quick and immediately came back inside. My mentor Shorty will like to slap sell right as you cross back below, or even like this candle here. Oops, this is funky. Same thing where we quickly peeked through it and then went back below. You can take those trades, but again, I wouldn't be doing it during the one trade a day for 6 months because it's just not a huge like high confluence trade where you're gonna like maybe you get like a 50% success rate with it. So it's not terrible. It's just not like the best, like A plus plus setup. I do take them every once in a while, but not a ton. And if you start to see something like this, like let's just say we break through a level and then we have like a 5 minute candle close and then they come down and do this, to me that's just indecision. And then there's a good chance that they just end up like coming back above, closing, whatever. It just, to me, that just is indecision. But if we wick through a level really quickly and fall back in, that's them saying like, oh, I don't like it up here, right? And I'm going to go lower. Or the inverse, like when we come down to a level and we peek through it and then immediately go back inside, that's like, ooh, I don't like it down here. I'm going back up, But something like this where we have actual candles closing above or below a level, that's just showing like indecisiveness. And I wouldn't be, trying to pick a direction when things are indecisive. The entire purpose for like waiting for a level to be broken, having 3 5 minute candles, retesting, is that by them doing this right here, the 3 5 minute candles or more, they're saying that the participants in the market are now happy within this value area. Whatever. I mean, I know I went from previous week to July, but it would really be previous week high to low. Is that now we're happy within this value area. Okay? And by them spending 15 minutes inside of this value area, that's giving us the confluence to say that we're happy trading within this range. All of the participants in the market are happy trading within this area that they now consider value. Okay? So hopefully that answers your question. But yeah, quick peek throughs and either bouncing or a quick peek through and failing. You can trade those. Again, wouldn't recommend it for those first 6 months of one trade a day. After that, you can implement it if you see like if you see it happening enough and you like it and you feel like it's working frequently enough that you feel like you can be profitable trading off of that, then go for it. But again, I wouldn't recommend it for those first 6 months of one trade a day. And yeah, that's all I've got to say on it. Let me just look through chat really quick. And just really quickly, DZ Jones, hopefully you're still here, but you're saying that you're always getting stopped out too early. Just really focus on trying to identify like key levels for your stop loss. If you are super, super new, that might be a little bit easier said than done. But as you're doing this, like really the goal right now is to be trading for about 2 weeks. 6 months. I can't English. For 6 weeks to about 2 months, going off of just like what we've covered over these last like 4 sessions. I don't feel like it's like, it shouldn't be too overwhelming, all of the information that we're covering. But as you do it over these next, few weeks and up to like the 2 month mark, you should start to recognize, like, literally the whole purpose of, the next 6 weeks to 2 months is to start recognizing, like, oh, like stop loss there, like equal to a strong high. I'm getting stopped out every time. Obviously, it needs to be a little bit higher, or whatever it is. Like, we need to identify all those little tweaks that we need to make, which is why it's important to also journal your trades and be like, hey, I put my stop loss equal to a strong high. They barely wicked through it and then dumped and went to my take profit level, and then recognizing, like, hey, obviously I don't want to put my stop loss at exactly the same level as a strong high. I need to have it a little bit above in case they do a stop hunt, right? So stuff like that is why it's important to journal our trades. And this is why, like, these next, like, 6 to 8 weeks are really, really important, where we really want to focus on every single trade that we take. We want to really focus on, like, where we're putting our take profit levels, where we're putting our stop losses, where we're taking our entries. And you want to really dissect it, like, down as deep as you can go. It should take you, I mean, for like the next, whatever, 6 to 8 weeks, it should take you about 15 minutes to journal that one trade that you took. And, well, I was about to talk about journals, but I know I covered it in the previous sessions. So if you don't understand what I'm talking about, make sure you go to session 1 and watch session 1, 2, 3, and 4. I talk about journaling there. But just really quickly to touch on it, when you journal, you really want to stop and reflect and think about, like, what you did correctly, what you did wrong, and what you could have done better, right? And again, it should take you about 10 to 15 minutes at least just to journal one trade, at least for the next, 6 to 8 weeks. After that, you might start getting a little bit quicker at journaling because you're learning, like, what mistakes you're making, and it's easier to recognize them, and easier to journal those mistakes, or it's also easier to journal what you've done correctly because now that you've been doing it, day after day for weeks, you're seeing the same things over and over again. And it should just with time get easier and quicker to journal your trades. But you don't want to rush through it. You want to take your time and make sure you're really putting thought and effort into journaling. Because basically, like, what we've just spent an hour and a half doing is basically just journaling your trades, right? Like me dissecting everybody's trades that they shared, like, down to the lowest level possible, and literally just saying, like, this was good, this was bad, you could have done this and it would have been better, and so that's exactly what you want to do when you journal your own trades, right? No. Bloop, peak above and fail is like seconds. Like when you go through a level and you spend a couple of seconds above and then you immediately fall back below, that's a peak above and fail. Or the inverse for the other side. If you lose a level and then bounce and come right back inside within just a few seconds, that would be peaking below and bouncing, right? Yeah. So Alan, you just got to trust yourself, brother. Like, your setups are there. Your charting is solid. And right now, I mean, you've already recognized it yourself. You need to work on your confidence, right? And that's the only thing that you need to work on. Everything else is solid. Like, you could give me your charts, I could trade off of them, and I would be profitable. And so the only difference between, me and you, we're trading the same levels, is just that confidence level, right? So you need to understand that you understand the information, you know what you're doing, your levels are good, and now you just have to trust yourself. I can't help you trust yourself other than telling you that you need to trust yourself. It'll work. Telling you that you have to be okay with being wrong, whatever it is, 40, 50% of the time, because you're going to be. You have to be okay with losing money that 40 to 50% of the time. Um, and then as you get better, with time, like that becomes 40% of the time that you're wrong, 30% of the time that you're wrong. And if you're really lucky, like maybe 80% of the time, or sorry, 20% of the time that you're wrong, 80% win rate, it's doable. I wouldn't say consistently, like like week over week, but you'll have weeks where you're 90% right. You'll have weeks where you're 100% right. And you'll have weeks where you're, 80, 70, 60% right, or whatever it is. But you're there. You literally just have to accept that as long as you're using the proper risk to reward and you just trade your levels, like you're going to make money, and you have to just be okay with taking your losses when they come to you. It happens to all of us. I've taken actually a lot of losses in the last few days. Let me see. I don't even know if I want to show this, actually. I will. I guess it's only fair. So, 4 winning days, 4 losing days. I don't even know that I could call this a winning day. I guess, whatever. Basically, break even. This is one of the days where I made a mistake. Um, Today I lost way too much. Shouldn't have even traded today, actually, is really what it comes down to. Um, I knew I wasn't feeling it emotionally, and I went against that, and I traded anyway, and paid the price for doing so, right? Um, and again, when I share this is a tiny account. I started kind of when I started the mentorship group, roughly. Um, but yeah, today was stupid. Um, but yeah, you've just got to take your losses when it's your turn, I guess. Um, I really don't like that saying, bloop, green is green, because that's not how I trade. If you accept green is green, um, you're not trading levels, right? So if the best way I can kind of explain this is like what we talk about. If I'm long here and this is my profit target and my stop loss is whatever here, and when I'm red on the trade, it does this, and I get stopped out, and I 100% hit my stop loss, if I'm doing things properly. But then the worst case is some people will move this lower, like thinking, please go and do this, right? But of course, this never happens. So like, even if lowering their stop loss works out, now they're not at a 1 to 2 risk to reward. And then as soon as they go green, since they were red for so long and so close to getting stopped out, they immediately like move their stop loss up. And then of course the market goes ding, 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 right? And so now like you made a tiny bit of money, because you're not really trading. You're just being scared. Um, it just doesn't work. Or when you are green, if you're going green is green, and price does this, whatever, and then let's just say it goes to here, and you go, oh, let me move my stop loss to there. Green is green. And then it does this, and you're risking, I don't know, let's just say you're risking 100 to make 200, but you ended up making 30 because green is green. You ended up risking $100 to make $30. You literally, if that's what you're doing consistently, like You either just have to say no more. I'm not going to do this crap anymore. Either my stop loss is getting hit or my take profit is getting hit. And if you do anything other than that, then you need to go punch yourself in the face, or I don't know, have somebody else punch you in the face, or just stop trading. Like, I guess what I'm really trying to say is like either shit or get off the pot. Like, if you're not gonna, if you're just gonna keep like sabotaging yourself, you might as well just give up. Like, why even bother? If you're accepting a $30 win and potentially risking $100 loss, you're never. I don't care how good you are. If you're shorty and you're risking 100 to make 30, he has a super high win rate. He's still going to lose money. So if somebody like shorty with a super high win rate can't make money risking 100 to make 30, then what makes you think you can? Or even me, like I definitely would not make money if I'm risking 100 to make 30. Like literally, like, and if I sound a little bit upset right now, it's not directed at you, Bloop. I'm actually glad you said it so that we can have a conversation about it. But you're literally just wasting your own time. Like, you either need to accept that trading is a game of probabilities. There's going to be times where you're wrong, and there's going to be times where you lose money. And both things are going to happen at the same time. And in that moment, like, it might crush your little ego. But until you get okay with having your ego crushed, like, this game is not for you. You have to swallow that massive, hard to swallow pill and not let it tilt you, not make you want to FOMO, not make you want to oversize. Because another thing that people will do is they'll take a loss, right? And let's say on this trade, they were risking 100 to make 200, and then they took their $100 loss, right? And then they take the same trade again, and they end up taking another $100 loss, and they're like, well, shit. If I take another trade now, risking 100 to make 200, I'm just going to be break even. But if I double my contract size, then if I risk 100 to make 200, I'll actually be risking 200 to make 400, and now I'll be up $200. And then it goes against them, and now they're down $400, right? And then they up their sizing even more, and then the next thing you know, their account's blown, right? You need to trade like the same contract size consistently, and the only time that you change your contract size is when you grow your account to where you have enough money to be able to scale up. You don't scale up as you're losing. You scale up when you're winning. But really, 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 like, this is the most important part of trading. You can't be risking 70% to make 30%. You can't be risking 50 to make 50. You need to be doubling your wins on every trade, or having your stop loss get hit. But as a minimum, you need to double your reward versus your risk. Otherwise, you're just literally like, and when I say, again, like, I'm not trying to be mean or rude or anything, but if you can't force yourself to accept stop loss or take profit only, then it's time to just say, you know what, this is not for me. I'm just going to stick to investing. And, whatever it is, I'm going to take $100 a month and put it into NVIDIA or SPY or just whatever, an ETF, mutual fund, whatever it is, just switch to that. Because day trading is never going to work until you say, all right, enough is enough, stop loss, take profit, nothing in between. And then after you've done that for 6 months, then you can have a little bit of more creative freedom with your trades. But you've really got to get through that 6 months of one trade a day, only hitting your stop loss and only hitting your take profit. All right. I'm going to get off of my little soapbox and go to bed. I'm exhausted. But hopefully, this was an informative and helpful session for everybody. I feel like it was a good session, but hopefully, you guys feel the same way. And I hope you guys start to understand really like how important it is to really stick to that at least a minimum of one risk to reward on every single trade, and not accepting like small little wins because you're scared to take a loss. All right. Alrighty, everybody. I don't see anybody typing, so that means we don't have questions. So with that said, much love, much respect to everybody, and we will see you sometime next week. I'll post times and links and everything ASAP. That way you guys can plan for it. I want you to have time to plan around it or whatever, but worst case, everything's recorded. You can always go back and watch it, okay? All right, everybody, take care. Have a good rest of your evening, and I hope